defense will play. And this is something that Raider fans that listen to your show and the station deserve, okay? Because you're not very nice to them. And, yes, we have a Niners guy coming later in the show, Jose Sanchez. But enough about that. It's time for some Raider time. And we are joined by my guy we kicked it with in Vegas. He was running Vegas out there. We are talking to your boy Q of Las Vegas Sports Network, Raider Nation Radio, ESPN Las Vegas. Q, how you doing, man? Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, man, thanks for having me on the show, man. You know I love me some Sacramento, so Sactown Sports. What's up? 916, what it do?
That's what I'm talking about, Q. That's the energy we need right now to wake the people up on this Friday. Now, we talk about energy, Q, and what I'm seeing, the reports from the two quarterbacks, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew of the Raiders. I don't know if that's the energy we want. Can you talk about what's going on out there and how they're looking? Is it as bad as what people are saying?
I mean, unfortunately, the problem is there's not enough energy. Mm-hmm. There's not enough good to talk about right now when it comes to Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. Doesn't mean that they haven't had moments. They have, but the problem is they haven't had consistency, right? They haven't had that one moment where I walk away from practice and say, okay, that's the guy. There's no doubt about it. The Raiders were off yesterday, but on Wednesday, Gardner Minshew had his opportunity to be with the ones, or start off with the ones, and he looks better, right? He ran the offense better. So if you're keeping track, maybe he has a slight edge in his quarterback competition. But let me tell you, it's very, very close because neither one of these guys has taken, as Antonio Pierce said, the bull by the horns.
There you go. We are talking to Q, your boy Q of Raider Nation Radio, Las Vegas Sports Network, ESPN Las Vegas. Well, let's talk about the good, Q. And, of course, you have Max Crosby, who is a dog on that defensive line. You also have Christian Wilkins. And we know that it's going to be just party time every time these dudes try to get after the quarterback. But the question is this defense, like we've seen other defenses throughout the NFL throughout the years, is this defense good enough to overcome the QB play? Could they carry this Raiders team?
I mean, I think that they're going to have to be honest. I think they really are. And look, they look better right now. And I know it's early. They've only had 6 practices, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But the defense looks better than it did what we remember at the end of last year. And they were really thinking good at the end of last year. But you mentioned it. The addition of Christian Wilkins all of a sudden really unleashes everybody from Max Crosby to Malcolm Kuntz, Tyree Wilson, who was the first-round pick a year ago. Right? All these guys now have a bigger opportunity because they have the big fella in the middle, the defensive tackle, to shut down the pocket. So no quarterback can step up in the pocket. So that's really looking good. But I'll tell you, man, I think that the real highlight so far at training camp has been the secondary, right? I mean, Jack Jones, who was a newcomer last year, the Raiders picked him up halfway through the season off waivers from the Patriots. And then Jacorian Bennett on the other side. He's the second-year guy from Maryland. He's a 4th-round pick. All of a sudden, he's stepping up, and he's playing some really good ball right now. Again, it's against themselves. It's not joint practices. So, again, don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but it looks really good right now. So this defense has a chance to be special.
Talking to Q, Las Vegas Sports Network, Raider Nation Radio, ESPN Las Vegas. Q, you talked about your love for the 916, and this guy isn't from the 916, but he's from Northern California, Brock Bowers, Napa boy, and we're hearing some great things about him. These hybrid tight ends that they can fly and do a bunch of different things. As Madden just released the top tight end list, is this a guy who might be cracking that list in a couple years or sooner than you think? Is he poised to have a breakout season? How good could Brock Bowers be?
Oh, I think he could be special, man. He is as advertised. It's amazing. Just watching him, I keep looking, okay, where's 89? Where's 89? And the Raiders have been finding ways to get the ball in his hands, whether it's on a jet sweep, lining up in the backfield, getting him a quick hitter, and it's what he does after he has the ball in his hands. He's fast, he's big, he's strong. He is not easy to bring down, and so he's excited. The first day they put pads on, he said, man, it's football now. I can actually, play football. Let's go. So he doesn't say a whole lot of words. He's not going to be a great quote. Let's get it that way. But he is a fantastic player. So, yeah, he's definitely one. If they can get a quarterback to consistently get him the ball, he's going to be a player. And then you've got Michael Mayer, who was the second-round tight end out of Notre Dame a year ago. You have that 1-2 punch right there. Again, could be really good. You just got to get consistent quarterback play, whether that's Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew, a combination of the two. I don't know what it is, but somebody's got to figure out how they're going to get that guy the ball.
You know, Q, I got my list of questions, but I'm going to break away from one here because this was a guy, and I know the whole Netflix thing didn't do him well. And you know where I'm going, Q, because I talked about this a long time ago, and he looks good down there in NOLA in New Orleans. I mean, no flyer on Spencer Rattler? You keep on bringing up the quarterback position. Why not just take a flyer there?
You know, that was a good question, right? I thought that was a possibility that maybe the Raiders would have selected, you know, Spencer Rattler. I remember him when he was coming out of high school.
Right.
I remember his whole college journey. And, you know, he really did some good things in South Carolina, kind of revigorated and rejuvenated his college career. And so, yeah, that was a guy that I thought was a possibility too. But Tom Telesco, the GM, said, look, there was no quarterback that we saw after the handful that went in the first round that were better than what we already had. So that was their evaluation. That was their breakdown. They didn't believe that, you know, he's better than you know, the guys, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. So we'll see, right? And look, I mean, maybe, you know, after a couple more days of practice, maybe one of these guys will start to separate, but it just hasn't happened yet. And it might end up being at the end of the season, okay, the whole team is in place. Everything looks good. Now I need to go get a quarterback. Maybe that's free agency. Maybe that's the draft. Maybe that's a combination of the two. Who knows?
Well, and I'm not even going to lie to you, Q. I mean, I saw one throw. I saw one throw with Spencer Rattler, and I told y'all I am that fan. I'll tell you that much. Talking to your boy, Q, Las Vegas Sports Network, Raider Nation Radio, ESPN Las Vegas. Q, as you know, there was a little bit of drama with the departure of Josh Jacobs. He's with Jordan Love now hanging out with the Green Bay Packers. How much will he be missed, and what can you say about the running back position, especially when you're talking about the questionable quarterback play?
Yeah, I mean, Josh is going to definitely be missed, right? I don't want anyone to think that you could just replace him. I know a lot of the teams around the league are like, oh, running backs are running backs, but Josh was special, man. He was a special dude. He was a really good blocker, right? A lot of times people don't even think about the blocking. They just think about running between the tackles. You know, but he priced himself out of Vegas, unfortunately. You know, Tom Telesco looked at the running back position, said there's no more bell cows. It's running back by committee, and that kind of told me then that Josh Jacobs wasn't going to be back. But I like what Zamir White brings to the table. James Craig is the offensive line coach for the Raiders. He comes over from the 49ers, so they have that system in play where, you know, they kind of I don't want to say create running backs, but I think that him and between Zamir White and Alexander Madison, they could be a nice little 1-2 punch. And I'll throw this name out there for you to pay attention to. Dylan Lobby. He's a 6th-round pick out of New Hampshire. Little small school, right? You don't really know what he's going to bring to the table, but the dude could play. And the Raiders really seem to like him. I know he's going to be a special teams ace immediately, but I think he's going to find his way onto the field offensively, and he can catch the ball in the backfield. He can run between the tackles. Just go ahead and punch up some of his highlights. I think he played Central Michigan last year and had like 300-yard game or something like that, multiple touchdowns. I mean, the dude can do some things, and he wears 23. He kind of looks like Christian McCaffrey. He's not Christian McCaffrey. Don't get it twisted, but he kind of has a little Christian McCaffrey build to him. The dude's he's an exciting little prospect, so I keep my eye on him to see what he can bring to the table.
Q, one more for you, and this is a simple one, talking to Q, Las Vegas Sports Network, Raider Nation Radio, ESPN Las Vegas. All right, Q, we just did this with the Kings, 46.5. That's their over-under, and we weren't happy about that. Raiders, 6.5. You going over or under? You got to take the black and silver shades off for this one, Q.
Oh, yeah, no, it's easy. It's easy. I'm going over it. And the reason I'm going over is 3 out of the 4 years they've gone over. Every time they get projected what their loss total is going to be, they go over it every time. So 6.5, I think, is easy for me. They won 8 games last year, and they went through hell and high water to get there. I think it's just because they won't have the chaos that they had last year. They should be able to definitely go over that. If they don't go over that, something went terribly wrong.
There you go. Q, bringing the heat as always. Thank you, man, for joining us here on the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Q, I can't wait to kick it with you the next time I'm in Vegas. And if you are a Raider fan and you don't know who your boy Q is, you better find out. Q, thank you so much.
Hey, no problem, man. You come to Vegas, I'll come to Sacramento, man. Let's hang out. I love it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That was your boy Q, Las Vegas Sports Network, Raider Nation Radio, ESPN Las Vegas. There you go, Raider fans. That is your Raider fix. And Carmichael Dave, he'd never do that for you. Coming up next, we introduce a Stiles and Watkins segment, and we bring it